Okay, I think everyone is unmuted. There y'all are. Okay, Natalie, are you there? There she is. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I might have muted. Okay, thank you, Terry, for doing that. I appreciate it. You know, when I've learned something, that we've had these, because I'm looking at how each teacher, you know, the subject that all you have chosen, and then how you do your notes and things like that. So I've learned so much. So I noticed last week Sherry was kind of looking up at her notes, like she had a clipboard. But I'm doing something like that this week, because I'm like, you know, that will help me from looking down so much. So it's just taught me a lot. But I decided that, and I had seen things on just friendships. So I thought tonight we would talk about the friendships that God wants us to have in our lives. And I'm breaking it down into two different sections. One is church friendships and the blessings that we have with our church family. And then the second part is going to be about friendships that we have, I guess I would say secularly, friendships like the neighbors we have, co-workers, and things like that. So the first part is just going to be about our church family and the blessings of friendships in that, and then just examples from the Bible about how friendships from the Bible and how to treat our friends, and different verses from those. So there's quite a few verses. But first, I just want us some feedback, and I want some participation tonight, if y'all don't mind, on just what are some characteristics when you're trying to be a good friend, or characteristics of what you look for in a friend, your closest, truest friends. What are some characteristics y'all would think about that we would say a good friend is?
Honesty.
Just raise your hand.
Sorry.
Honest. That's a great one.
Tell me the truth even when it hurts.
Yes, yes. Isn't it great that we can just talk to our friends, get advice from each other and things like that? So yes, honesty. What are some more words? What do you think of when you think of a good friend?
I was going to say they love you no matter what.
Yes, definitely. Love you in the good times and the bad, and all the times in between. Anybody else can think of a word or a descriptor?
Good listener, something I'm not.
What'd she say?
A good listener.
Oh, I started to say that one.
Good listener. Awesome. Well, so you made a secret.
Hey, Natalie. Natalie, your screen is muted. There it goes.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why
everybody started. There was a big glitch, and I muted all and tried to unmute you. That was my fault.
Oh, okay.
Cindy's got her hand up.
Someone who's not going to gossip. I don't know if y'all, but who's not gossip or tell your secret if it's something you don't want told. And then who else had their hand up?
Well, I was going to say trustworthy. I mean, you know, someone that there's not many people you feel, even within the church, that you can really open up to, and them not, maybe not doing it out of, you know, meanness and intent, but just say it. And you know how when we say something, it gets twisted, and people don't hear things or don't interpret it the way you meant it to that person that you entrusted that to. And that makes me not want to open up to anyone, because I guard stuff close to my heart, you know, and protect people that are closest to me, like my family and stuff, that, you know, while we're healing and things. So I have to hold a lot in, because, you know, it's just people can misinterpret things and say things that they shouldn't, that are very delicate.
Yes.
Mhm.
Cindy did have her
So
hand up.
trust, and I think when you say that, Tara, I think about somebody who's not going to judge, someone who's going to listen and listen where you're at with it. So, and then Cindy.
Yes, I think about real friends don't let you go into the wrong directions. You know, real friends will tell you, I don't think you ought to travel that path. And they support you in wrongdoing, but in a loving way, remind you of your true calling. And so,
Right.
stand beside you,
Spirit.
but
Right.
will not support you in evil or wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
But they also won't
you know,
turn their
throughout-
back on you, though. They won't turn your back on you if you do go down that road. They're always there to lovingly support you in a scriptural way. It's easy to turn away from
Right.
someone that's not going down the right path because it's just too much work or effort on our part to help them out.
Right. You know, it seems like there was like two categories kept coming up in this study. One was like friendships and being there for each other physically, meeting each other's needs, but then also spiritually. And I think, you know, what I hear you ladies, it's more of a spiritual, meeting each other's spiritual needs, whether it be counseling someone, being there through the rough times and the easier times, and just being there for someone even when you always having that open door.
Well, we sisters through their turmoil, and want to help them in any way that
Right. Well, when I was preparing this lesson, I decided to do a little research on what a good friend was. So what I did was I polled the audience. Have y'all ever heard of that? You polled the audience. Wasn't that in some game show? So I polled the audience, and my audience that day was Canyon and Oakley. So this is some high tech.
I love it.
Oh, this should be interesting.
So we do our little walks some days. So we get to talking on those walks or in the car. We have some kind of deep discussions, I guess. But one of their responses when I said, what is a good friend, or what do you look for in a friend or whatever? One of them said, well, you shouldn't choose a friend based on how much money they have or how much stuff they have. You should choose a friend based on who they are. So I agreed with that. And then the other one said, well, you're supposed to be kind, and you're supposed to talk about stuff that you have in common, and you're supposed to treat your friend like they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated, but how they want to be treated. So I guess that means if your friend likes vanilla ice cream and you like chocolate ice cream, you give them the vanilla. I don't know, but you knew where they were going with that. So that was from a kid's view. But back to just our church family friendships. I think one scripture that really embodies this is Acts 2:44 through 47. So I'm going to read that. This is the first church in Acts 2. I'm going to start with verse 44 if you want to follow along. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. You know, I think they just had such a connection. They were meeting each other's physical needs, but also spending that much time together in worship and fellowship. They were meeting each other's emotional and spiritual needs as well. So that was one verse that came up. Another one was Job, when his friends came to comfort him, and that is Job 2, it starts in verse 11. Job 2, 11, and I have verses 11 through 13 on that one. So if you want to turn with me over there, Job 2, 11 through 13. Now when Job's friends heard of all the evil that had came upon him, they came each from his own place. And it states their names. I'm not going to try to read their names. They had made an appointment together to come to show him sympathy and comfort him. And when they saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him. And they raised their voices and wept, and they tore their robes, sprinkled dust on their heads towards heaven. And they sat with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights. And no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that this suffering was very great. So one word I feel like embodies the friendships that these friends that came and spent time with Job was just offered comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So they were a comfort to Job. That was a long time to just sit with him, but they knew that he had been through great turmoil. Paul, it mentions that in Acts 27 and 3, and I'm not going to read that one. I'm going to read several, so I'm going to not read that one. But it talks about he broke away for a little while to receive care from his friends. So friends have a calming and caring effect on us. Then if you turn over to 3 John, verses 14 and 15. 3 John, verses 14 and 15. It says, I hope to see you soon, and we will talk face to face. Peace be to you. The friends greet you. Greet the friends each by name. So they were looking forward to meeting each other face to face with those friendships and calling each one by name. I think those things are important, especially as we're making new friends, knowing their name, talking face to face. I think that's one reason this Zoom has kind of helped. We can see each other. It's not just a phone call. We can see each other's faces. It's definitely the same as being together, but it's a pretty good alternative time being. So just that face-to-face talking. Have you ever spent some time with a friend talking or listening, and when you left, you were just brightened? You were just more cheery?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Friendships have that good effect on us. And then if we're going to be a good friend, we need to go to 1 Corinthians 13. Because a good friend, like we said, loves unconditionally. So it's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 is the ones I'm gonna read. So 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or wrathful. Does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. I need that reminder, I think, every day. I need to read that, because every time I look at it, I think, wow, there's so many things I need to work on. But just loving each other. Also, iron sharpens iron. If we're together, we're going to help each other grow spiritually. So the verse with that is Proverbs 27 and 17. And when I was thinking of this, I thought about our Bible bowlers with Lads to Leaders and how they get together and study and they compete. And I just think it's such a great thing for our kids to be to have the opportunity to do. And definitely it's an iron sharpens iron situation there. So there's so many ways we can grow through Bible classes and different things, just being together. I'm so thankful just in my Christian walk with our family that we've had such good Christian friends. There's been times when we couldn't do things on our own, and people have just stepped in and helped. Back when, I was in the hospital with Oakley, there was several of y'all that got together and just made his nursery. So when I came home, it was just all done. I mean, that was just meant so much to me. And then just other ways, just being there as a friend to talk through the hard times. So I'm very thankful for all those times. And I know each of you could probably have numerous things that you can remember back that you couldn't have made it through without your church family. During this part, I want us to think about friendships of the Bible. And some of you ladies can probably think of more than I can. One that I thought of was Ruth and Naomi and their close friendship, how they stuck together even though they had been through lots of trials. And I think there's more, several more in the Bible.
Jonathan and David.
Okay, Judy says Jonathan and David. If you raise your hand, I would like some feedback on some more that we can think of friendships of the Bible.
The apostles, and they were friends with Jesus. I mean, they were apostles and they worked with Jesus. John was referred as the apostle that Jesus loved. So to me,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, a very close friendship there for sure. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sherry Barrow had her hand up.
All right.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say Jesus and Mary and Martha and Lazarus.
Yes. Very notable. Good one. Who else can think of one? Cindy Dixon, did you have one? I thought I heard you.
Paul and Timothy.
And that was more like a mentor type friendship, right? Where he
Yeah.
And that's great in the church to have those mentors as well. The older training the younger, so that's great. Those are all really good ones. So those are some great examples. God knew that we needed these close friendships and these mentor situations. So I'm so thankful for his wisdom. Okay, so let's move on to friendships maybe outside the church or maybe coworkers, different things you're involved in, and you have friends from, outside the church family. So I know that we're to share our faith with others, and there's a strengthening when we have that within the church. But we also can be a great influence on our friends that maybe don't know about Jesus or have questions, or maybe they've been misguided. So when I was kind of thinking about this, I thought we may have to let her in. The cat's wanting in the door. Can y'all hear her meowing? Meowing at it.
Candace's not here.
Kenya's not here to let her in. But lifestyle evangelism or friendship evangelism, some of you may have been converted or introduced to Christianity or the Lord's church through a friend. When I was looking at the research on it, it said 1 in 5 people are converted through a friendship. It may be that you already, have a friend that y'all talk about spiritual things, and that's wonderful. But, if it's a new friendship, and we had talked about this, I think, on another Zoom class. Yeah, just let her in. I think she'll be fine. Thank you. That just making that connection with that person, and then sharing your faith, verbalizing what God has done for you in your life, and just building that trust. You know, it doesn't take long to be around somebody to know if they are choose the right things in their life. You know, when maybe you started a new job before, and we all know it doesn't take long being around people to know if they have the fruit of the Spirit in their life, if they're letting their light shine, or if maybe they indulge in sinful activities. So people are always looking for that, and they always are going to note that, you know, we're different. We're making choices that not everybody else chooses. So I think friendships can be very, very beneficial, and use them to God's glory. Some things that I had jotted down on this is just, like I said, build trust, find things in common, and let our light shine, Matthew 5:16. And I can turn over and read that. Some of you may have more experience than me, and can say certain situations. The first thing that came to mind when I was preparing this is our Tuesday queue that we have, and hopefully before too long we'll get that up and running again. But just inviting a friend or coworker to a fellowship that we have, a Tuesday queue or a church service. The Tuesday queue seems to be non-threatening to some, and I think about our friend Ron Mitchell, that we lived on the same street for years with him and his first wife and their children. And we had, I think, invited them to church. We talked, you know, they knew Carrie was a minister. I think he had some background in he had a background. He had become a Christian already. He just wasn't going to church at the time. But it was years later when we had already moved, and Carrie had invited him to Tuesday Q. And, you know, it eventually turned out that he ended up coming back to the church and is a faithful member. I'm so thankful, you know, for his good example in our church. But that's just one example of friendship, evangelism, being there for people, you know, in your circle that are for hope, looking for Jesus. Another thing that I think, and we might not always think about this when we think about friendship, is just within our community being a servant. There are people in our community that are in bad situations. You know, maybe they've lost hope with life, and just being there for them, whether it's helping them with food or clothing or different things like that. But, you know, in Matthew 25:35 through 40, it talks about, let me go ahead and turn over and read that. It talks about how if we do good deeds towards others, we're doing it to Jesus. I think that's the right verse. Let me look. Yes, it says, it's Matthew 25:35 through 40. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and clothed you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the king will answer them, surely I say to you, if you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. So practicing the golden rule and treating others the way we would want to be treated, just wishing the greatest good for everybody, is another way that we can be a shining light in our world. Just doing good when and where we can. There's so much like envy and jealousy in this world and in some people's lives, that I think God's love and God's light always is powerful in a dark. That's all I had on that. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes. I'm sorry, guys. Another thing I wanted to, I'm about to the end of my lesson, but I wanted some feedback kind of when I was thinking about the greatest command and our friendship, letting people into our friendship groups at church. All of you are so good at welcoming people, visitors at our church, and new people that come our way. And you may have ideas I wouldn't think of, but how can we, show up friendship to people that visit either a fellowship or a church service? What are some good that we could, so many of y'all are so great at that. I just thought this might be a good time to kind of collaborate about ways that we can welcome others into our friendships at church, welcome them, show them God's love as they come into our assemblies and at fellowship, things like that. What are some things y'all have done that maybe is unique, or things we haven't heard, or just anything that's simple too?
I think if you can find someone, say if it was a family that had a small child, a 3-year-old, something like that, maybe get another family with you and your family that has one around that same age, and maybe invite them to lunch after church, and just have common ground there. Or if it's a college student, invite another college student, just so they have someone that's around their same age. Has been a positive thing for us.
Yeah, so make those connections, get people connected with people that are like them, or that can help them. I know when when I was trying to keep a small child or children occupied on a church bench, it was very challenging. So
Yes.
when you said that about including them with your family and helping out in that way, I think that's great.
Natalie, I know, like, when I visited, there's a church that we go to inside Atlanta or close to Atlanta. It's a small congregation, but I noticed that the few times we've been there, people would come up, and it made me feel welcome when they chose to kind of stick around a little bit instead of, you see the people that kind of smile and then they keep walking, they got somewhere to be, but then the ones that will actually stop and they're like, so, tell me about you. Where are you from? What's your children's names? Why are you here? Like trying to find that common ground and just have an actual conversation, and made us feel welcome. And I know that if that happened to me, surely that would do good for somebody else. It's wonderful to say, so good to have you today. This is my name. But like find a little connection there, and maybe even share your contact information and just say, I'm here for you. I'm here if you ever need anything. If you would like to chat more about the church, or what we do here at Northport, or just something. Just make them feel like you are super interested in them.
If we have their contact information too, we could follow up with them and make a connection again as well. I love those ideas.
I was listening to a podcast while we were at the beach and just talking about how to get other people, not necessarily in the church that you're in, but just get them to know God better and step out of your comfort zone. And that was when we started the group encouragement thing. And so I made myself go down my list, and I started looking at of course you invite your church friends, and because it's not hard to talk to them about God, but then the people from school that you only know from your child's class. And so those people were harder to invite. But so many of them responded positively, and it has been such a positive thing from them and great feedback. So it's a small door that's open, but it was still open, even though it was uncomfortable. Just trying to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and you're giving them the choice. You're letting them know, I would love you to do this, but they, of course, have the choice. Yeah, so that's great. That's a positive way to do it for sure.
Teresa's hand was up.
I was trying to unmute
Hey,
myself.
Teresa.
Hey, I was just going to share this story that I learned from someone else, and it was very meaningful to us when, I think it was Nick, we were carrying him to a camp over in Mississippi. And so we were going to drop him off on Sunday afternoon, so we went to church, and I don't even know the name of the church. But we attended church afterwards. There were people, talking to us, Gayla, and saying, why are you here? But what are you here? And that kind of thing. And so we told him that we were dropping him off for the football camp. And a really sweet lady wrote down her name and number, and she said, "Can I give this to him? Since y'all will be like over in Alabama, if he needed something pretty quickly, we could help him out." That was so meaningful to me. And so I kind of that idea. And, when we have college students, this year we're not having lots of camps, but typically we do. That's just something that we can do. Just, you could just go with them. If they had a flat or something like that, we could get there more quickly than their out of state or out of town parents. That just always made such an impression on me. And it just really made me think about how caring that church was, to have someone like that.
I know, what a comfort to a college college mom and dad of a college student to have someone closer that could, is a phone call away if something happens. That's great.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that I think that's happened in our congregation before, I know that we have done it. I remember when Camille McCaskill was here. Y'all remember Camille?
Yes.
And we did. She did actually call us, which we felt honored when she called us. It made us feel really good. We helped her move and, and did some things. David's so handy and he likes to do a lot of things. But I've got to share that, Natalie, you were talking about when you were in the hospital with Oakley. When this pacemaker thing came along and it was time to move in the house, we had 5 couples, and you know who you are, that came and moved us in the house. I couldn't lift anything. And Janine put my kitchen all in place. I told her today I still can't find my loaf pan. I'm telling you, we could not have been more grateful, more humbled. It's just, and the thing about it is, people, when they don't ask for help, you're keeping somebody from serving. And if you think of it from that perspective, it might open you up and let you get help, if you're needing help. But I just want to say that was very encouraging to me. And I even said to Janine today, talking about that and what in the world would we do without a church family, so.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, that means so much. And those are things you just remember for your whole lifetime, Cindy Dixon, you have your hand up?
No. I think that we do a pretty good job at Northport. Normally, when we see a new family, a new person come in, we try to connect someone with someone. If you get the finger like this from Carrie, you know that you're selected for.
You have duty, or you have conversation duty?
Yes. I have a favorite app. No, it's be something like that. But sometimes I think that we love each other so much that we're a little cliquish, and we need to be aware of that, because if we're cliquish and we do love each other, then we are keeping ourselves from having an opportunity to love someone else and encourage them. We can still get our little clique and group and the people we enjoy spending time with, but it doesn't immediately right after the services. We need to look at every opportunity that we get to bring up the loop, especially if someone's
right.
And I have the experience of being an education consultant, and I traveled about 2 weeks a year. And sometimes I was in the same town. I'm just going to throw Silicotta there because the first time I worshiped at Silicotta, it was wonderful because everybody came up and they said, what time do you eat? I went, well, I haven't eaten yet. It was on Wednesday night. Oh, good, because we've got a place reserved for us at the diner. The So they just scooted one chair over, and I fix my schedule so that I would be in Silicaga these days, and I was having dinner at the diner as soon as Bible study was over. That became our routine.
Oh,
It was wonderful. And when I was in West Palm Beach, I got used to people holding my hands during prayer. That's what they're known for. The first time it happened, I think I squeaked, but that I made certain.
I bet they're not holding hands right now.
No one's holding hands. Donna, who has been on here, is a product of worshiping in Lahoma, Louisiana, and after services, she asked some questions. She wasn't going to let me walk out of the building, and we started talking, and she had not too long before and didn't get to stay in that area like she wanted to, so she was disappointed. And I said, well, I went to a Christian college also, and I don't live in a college town. You are what you make it. And we went out that night, and we've been ever since. And it's important to have that kind of friendship. She's had some extremely rough things happen to her that she didn't have any control over. And she may be on here tonight, and I don't know it. But I'm going to tell you, that's one cool young lady, and I love her very, very much. And I have treasured the people who have stepped up to make me feel welcome in whatever town I was in. In Chicago, I worshiped on a Wednesday morning, and they told me, yeah, come on. It was on the south side of Chicago. That is the only place I worship on Wednesday in the morning in Chicago. And if you know anything about Chicago, you don't want to be on the south side. They had a guard at the door, and they took me on in. I had the most wonderful study with them, and then found out I couldn't get back into Chicago. And so because no taxi would come out to get me. So they borrowed a car, and they were this, they said, it's been a long time since we've driven a car. It was an adventure, but they got me back in adventure. That's one thing about the church. We should always be able to trust that the people that we come in contact with, when we are the strangers, that they're going to have our best interest. And on the flip side, when a stranger comes into our building or our, wherever we're meeting, that they should feel so comfortable. We make them feel comfortable.
Right. I think that I agree that there's always room for improvement. I feel like we do a good job, and people even comment on how friendly we are. But to me, I'm like, there's always room for improvement, because we've been to places similar to what you're saying that they just bring you in, and it's like an unforgettable experience. But I just want to challenge us to look for those opportunities for more friendships. And, I just was thinking, and it was, on my heart and mind. And I thought, somewhere near each one of us, there's a person that needs a faithful friend. It could be on your street. It could be just somewhere in our community. But there's a person out there for each of us that needs a faithful friend. So that's going to be included in my prayer this week. I challenge each one of you to look for people and those opportunities. There's so many people that need a loving, caring church family, just a loving, caring friend. So that's going to be included, like I said, in my prayers. I challenge you to do the same and look for let's look for those opportunities to be a good friend. And that's really all I had. Does anybody else have comments or mine? I feel like mine was kind of short tonight, but that's I've enjoyed studying about it. I always learn more, I feel like, than anybody just looking up the scriptures and putting it together.
I wanted to give a kind of a different spin on it from my perspective that I'm going through and thinking of other people that have recently, even on here, lost someone dear to them, that everybody has to listen. You know, we've talked about racial stuff's been a big topic lately, and not being able to understand, say, a Black woman and her background and the hardship she's gone through. Well, there's no one that's going to understand the loss of a child, you know, that, you know, just like I can't understand what that Black lady's gone through. So, like, you use the example with Job and his friends. Well, first they didn't approach it as sitting there and being supportive and not saying anything. They wanted to they thought they knew what was best for Job and what he had done wrong or what he should be doing at this point. A lot of it is listening, not thinking what they should be saying or how they should feel, but listening to where they're at in their process of grief, struggle, pain, their walk with God, and be a little vulnerable. Don't, you know, like Oprah, you know, I don't agree with Oprah, but anyway, it was the first example I'd come up with when she said that having people over, you know, have your hair up in a towel, make them feel comfortable and welcome them into your home like everything's not perfect and placed and the place settings. Let them feel like, hey, I'm human too. You know, I have faults, I have struggles, and make yourself vulnerable and approachable in that way. And I think people will get more real with you, because just in my 2.5 years, everybody has pain and everybody suffers with something. And it's all if they want to let you in. It's period. And if they trust you. And really, that's all I had to say is, you know, people are not going to be like you. You know, they're not going to be bubbly all the time or, hey, how are you doing? All that, you know, it's going to be, you know, let's get real kind of deal and keeping it real sometimes. So there's approaches to every person, and you just really have to pick up on and be attuned to them and the cues that they're giving you, and not thinking about what you want to say to them, you know, just the checklist of agenda. Hey, how you doing? Where you from? Da 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 da. You know, there may be something major going on in their lives, which is all good, but you know what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yes,
just
listen to listen, don't listen to respond.
Yeah, and plus you're thinking about, I'm number one at this, of thinking about what I'm going to say next, or what good advice can I give them to help them out? You know, when really all they want to do is someone look in their eyes and go, it's good to see you here. It's really good to see you here. And I, you know, would like to get to know you better, you know, but they may not spill their guts right away because they're going through a lot of things.
So yeah, being approachable. I keep hearing that, and I think that's true. Like being genuine, being approachable, being not the perfect personification. Everybody has a struggle, and I guess admitting that. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go up and tell you all your deep, dark secrets right away, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a fine line there. There's a fine line, but you know.
Yeah. Just don't let it all out then. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. You don't want to scare people away.
Okay, is there anybody else, something they want to share? This has been great tonight. Thank y'all for for coming out. I always look forward to Thursday nights because of this.
Teresa
Our
has
group.
her hand up.
Hey,
I was just going to say that I think especially during these times, reaching out to people. If you can just reach out to somebody, we haven't been able to be in each other's presence a lot, but if we could just find one person today to give them a text, give them a call, meet up with them, to do something, in our church family, I think that it's difficult, or it may be difficult for some to feel a part of a group when we're not meeting. So, we've got all this technology that we can connect. I think that's something to think about during the, and when we're at the building, if we could just take care of the row we're on, touching base with the people that's on our row and maybe one other row, or be aware of people that are by themselves, that nobody really, they're not part of what Cindy the clique, they're not part of it, but somebody that's just by themselves. It can be very meaningful for somebody just to come up and smile and say hi, what have you been up to, or just speaking and making them feel welcome. That would take about 5-10 minutes. I'm reminded me of that. That's just something I think that we all can do, and it will help our group, the unity of our church group.
right. And we're the ones that'll benefit really from getting to know someone else. So many times, when we go help somebody or go to a good deed, I'm the one that benefits more than anybody because just the connections, that we have. So that's so true.
If you want to connect with people, if you want to really connect with someone, go to camp. I encourage every one of y'all to go to Indian Creek for a week.
Yes.
It is really a connection. I mean, y'all go, there's mission trips talked about all the time. What a mission it is to, our country needs this, the younger generation needs Christian men and women to lead them. And there's so many children there that are looking for it. And what a blessing it is, and what a privilege it is to serve in that way. So, I really, it's dear to my heart for many reasons, but all those children need moms and dads, and, talking about the kids at the university and helping them, these children depend on us that week. We're their mom and dads. And I just can't say enough about it, and what it would mean to see adults fighting over to help be of service to those children during that week. That's it.
That's so true.
Try to notice somebody this week that maybe is not here, that you think could benefit or possibly just hasn't tried a ladies Bible class like this. Just try to reach out and invite them and see if maybe we can grow our group to reach others. Like you said, you said somebody that's different than us, that's probably by themselves. I know immediately somebody came to mind. So just try to think about that and maybe reach out to them sometime this next week. Carla Bailey will be doing our study next Thursday.
Do you know what her time?
I don't know. I was going to ask her tonight, and I guess she did not get away from work in time. I can find out. You know what? I'm going to ask her while we're on here.
Thank you. Unless she's changed it, it's being single as a Christian, or something along.
Oh,
I like that.
Being a single Christian woman, or some title like that. Unless she's changed it.
that's excellent.
Love. Well, Terry, do you have any other announcements? I did not ask anyone to close the group, but I want to do it before there was anything else you needed to announce or say.
I don't have anything other than, like I said, this coming Thursday is Carla. I do need somebody for July 2nd, which is 2 weeks from today. On July 9th, we have Teresa Taylor, and July 16th is Gayla Marlowe. So if anybody would feel comfortable teaching, just reach out to me later. And if not, y'all get to hear me. So yeah. I'm so thankful for all of y'all that have helped and teaching and just putting yourself out there. Y'all are awesome.
Well, thank you, Terry, for organizing it. It's been a blessing to me, I know. Well, okay, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and close with a word of prayer. If y'all will bow with me. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight. Thank you for allowing us to meet together tonight. It's been an encouragement for each of us, and thank you for all that you do in our lives. Please work through us and let your light shine through us, through our actions and deeds and words and our lives. Help us to be aware and be intentional about our friendships and about sharing your gospel with others, about sharing your love with others. Please help us each to look for opportunities this week to include someone, to check on someone, to look for someone who needs a friend, who needs help. Be with each of the ones that we mentioned earlier that are sick or struggling, and please comfort them. Help us to know what to do so we can help them. And thank you for each lady that is here tonight. And it's in your son's name that we offer this prayer. Amen.
Bye.
Thank you, Natalie. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Hi, ladies.
Bye, y'all. Bye.